Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Good evening, Beer Geeks, and welcome to the Friday 5pm podcast. I hope you've got a beer in front of you, cracked open, or on your way to the fridge to get one, because it's the weekend. Bradley, how are we feeling?
I'm alright, mate. I'm alright. I'm covered head to toe in ant bites, but that's another story.
It's a story you've got to tell. Come on.
Right at the top of the podcast. The podcast. So basically last Saturday, went on a big bike ride, glorious sunshine in London that day, and I ended up in Greenwich Park with my girlfriend and a friend in our little...
I thought you were going to say in an ant's nest.
Well, in our little social bubble, and we were sat there enjoying a couple of beers. I was sat against a tree. The park was very, very full to capacity, so the only sort of tree spot that we could get, because we needed a bit of cover. Our friend is Irish and he's quite a pasty man, so he does burn. So you
picked this suspiciously unused tree?
We did, and there wasn't. It was right at the beginning of the park, right at the entrance. So it's like, why isn't nobody sat here? But there was no grass left on the pitch, which sounds wrong when I said that. But there was no grass left underneath the tree. So I just thought, it's a high traffic area, obviously. Anyway, it was very uncomfortable, and I was in sort of shorts, very short shorts, like swimming trunks. We just sat there for a couple of hours. I've been suffering with a bit of backache at the minute, and I needed to stretch out. So I was lying straight, perpendicular on the floor. Is that the word? Horizontal on the floor. And I kept sort of feeling something. I was like, something's sort of crawling on me. Not quite sure what it is. So I'd get up and jangle my bits around and then get back down. And cause I was...
Good Lord. Right at the top of the podcast.
Yeah, really hot, really tired. And then anyway, went to bed. Next morning, woke up. And oh my God, my whole body is covered in what look like hives. And it's ant bites. And I've obviously had a really nasty reaction to them. Apparently they spit acid on your skin. So my whole body is incredibly itchy and hive ridden. But it's starting to dissipate now after a week of bike cream and Benadryl. So yeah.
Good Lord.
It's so itchy, Johnny.
I thought you were exaggerating. I thought that would be a funny way to open a podcast.
No.
I'm not sure whether that will make the edit. That sounds awful.
I've been in a lot of pain and just more than the pain, it was the trying to not scratch, the willpower to not scratch.
Yeah, like being a kid with chicken pox.
Oh my God! When I woke up, I thought I had chicken pox because they're really weird. Like don't Google it, but if anyone Googles ant bites, it's horrendous. Like it looks like you've got some terrible tropical disease. Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit more chipper, and I didn't get my face, which is good. The moneymaker is intact.
No touching of the hair or face.
No, they went all down my butt crack, which is horrendous.
Oh God, no, no, no! Back to beer.
And on that note,
out of my comfort zone now. Talking of butt cracks, the big news this week Well, no. Let's get into the arseholes that are regional brewers in a second. Let's start with some really positive news, which is that in just over an hour, in fact, we are going to be going live on our YouTube channel for our next live show number 20.
Ooh, is it actually 20?
Can you believe it? 20 live shows we've done now, or we will have done by tonight. So we're celebrating with a very special episode with Wild Beer Co., who were sort of the original, the OG wild mixed fermentation sour brewery in the UK, founded in, I think, 2012. Came out of the gate straight up with a Flemish red, you know, that famously loved style by the general population, exactly. And we've got some 4-year-old Flemish red, Modus Operandi, which is their flagship beer, to taste. They've aged that away, and we're going to be cracking a bottle of that. And lots of other aged stuff from their cellars that they've released specially for us for the occasion. So it's going to be an amazing night. We sold lots and lots of cases for it, so I'm very excited.
Yeah, have your beers turned up yet, Johnny? Because I suffer with bad anxiety, as I'm sure the listeners have learnt by now. And I've been texting you every day this week asking if your beers have arrived, because you're not in your usual location, are you, in lockdown?
I'm not. No, I'm at my parents' because they've got this thing called a garden,
Nice.
which, being a Zone 2 London flat dweller, means I haven't seen for many decades.
Oh, man.
But no, the beers have not arrived. Turns out they got broken in transit, but the
God.
courier decided that, nobody needed to know that. So the head of marketing for Wild Beer Co. is literally on his way to my house right now with a case.
That's service, isn't it, right there?
That is service. That is dedication. So huge thanks to Wild Beer Co. for doing that. I offered, obviously, to come, or I would have offered rather, but today I'm beer judging for the Society of Independent Brewers. So either I had to get up at about 6 a.m, or I'd have been over the limit by that point. So they are rushing some beers over while I continue to drink a very mixed bag of British independent brewing.
Godspeed on both accounts.
Yes. So yeah, we'll talk about the judging for a bit, because that's been a lot of fun. So I'm a beer judge in lots of competitions with lots of different companies. The SIBA one is always a lot of fun because every brewer is independent and mostly very small. So you do get, I've got to be honest, a pretty mixed bag in terms of quality, particularly when you get to the American styles, because you see lots of really beautiful New England and West Coast IPAs, stuff like that. But you also see lots and lots of regional brewers seeing how well these American styles sell and basically just taking their classic golden ale or British pale and just changing the hops to Cascade.
Blimey.
Which does not work. Mostly you're picking up diacetyl issues, sometimes some DMS issues, which basically smells like popcorn. They don't actually up the hopping rates much, so you can't really tell that it's American hopped. And it's just an absolute mess. So the Session IPA category, which I've had today, and the Pale Ale category, which I had yesterday, is one of the ones that the judges, I think, kind of hope to avoid a little bit. Because you get that mix. But we had IPAs yesterday, and that was awesome.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure we had some stuff from North and from Thornbridge. Some really, really tasty stuff. And a really delicious New England IPA that I don't know who it was from because it was in a 330ml can. And I can't think of somebody making delicious New England IPA in 330ml. That's just not the format, They need to get with the programme. It comes in 440s or 500ml. It's tall, boys. So I'm going to find out who that was once all the results are in.
Nice, mate.
We've never got you onto a judging table, have we, Brad? We need to do that.
No. I mean, I'd just probably get pissed and think everything was great.
But you're only taking very small sips.
You are.
Well, yeah, okay, right, yeah. As soon as I said that, I was like, I know what that answer is. I've set him up there and he's going to knock it out of the park.
No. I just remember when we were over in Shippensburg and watching that guy, one of the participants in our college course.
Oh, yeah.
He drank everything to the bottom, including the stuff that had been spiked with chemicals to make it taste wrong.
Yeah, we were spiking stuff to teach people about off flavours. So, like, DMS, diacetyl, all these things that in large volumes are pretty disgusting, and he was just necking them. And it was Coors Light, I think, that we were spiking, because that, obviously there's very little flavour to that beer, so you really pick it up, and he was just necking them.
Yeah.
Free booze is free booze to some people.
He's giving it some best of America style, like, let's go for it. Just amazing to watch. I think he fell off his chair at one point, didn't he? Yeah,
I think he did at the end, yes. But hey, that's what learning with the craft beer channel's like, apparently.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yes.
So yeah, if you want to learn like the processes that we use for judging beer, then you could head to... We've got a video with the guy who invented the Cicerone program, which is sort of the sommelier program for beer. A great guy called Ray Daniels. We did a video with him on how to taste like a beer judge. And we've also got... We just mentioned some pretty technical terms like DMS and diacetyl. If you go to our... Technical terms brewers use video,
yes.
You'll get the meaning of some of those in a more straightforward way than we just did.
Nice.
So there was no video this week, but I got an amazing comment on the 4 hard truths in craft beer, in which we were telling people how they could help small independent brewers in a tough time. And the comment was, "Don't drain pour beer, it's just a waste of the brewer's energy." So what they're saying is, brewers put a lot of hard work into drinking that, into making that, so you should drink it.
What, even if it's wrong and horrible and that's a silly idea.
Literally let's be honest, alcohol is a poison. We should be consuming it moderately. But he's saying even if it tastes rancid, you should finish it because the brewer.
Was this our Shippensburg friend who suggested this?
Maybe that's exactly what reminded me of it, because I just pictured this guy just necking sour cask ale, like going to pubs and going, "Don't chuck that away, I'll drink it."
Blimey.
The brewer, he or she put a lot of effort in.
Blimey. Yeah, don't flat out disagree with that. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, me too. I haven't responded yet. I need to get my wording just right. I don't want to be a dick, but I need to explain to him that he shouldn't be drinking alcohol that doesn't taste good. He should be also supporting the people that can produce it properly. So talking of supporting people who produce beer properly, I wanted to dedicate the lion's share of this podcast to some really pretty shocking news, which came out 2 days ago around small brewers relief. So small brewers relief is basically a tax break that was introduced in 2002 for small breweries below 5,000 hectolitres, which, if you need context, is like Burning Sky of 4,800. So anybody smaller than Burning Sky. So, a decent business, turning over, maybe pushing £1 million, but not a big business. And the government has decided to reduce that tax relief.
Right. Very logical. Why not kneecap the little guys?
Exactly, right in the middle of a pandemic when still sales are hovering at about 30% of what they were.
Fuck's sake.
We've got a potential no-deal Brexit, which will cause huge currency issues, which really affect breweries. And now they've said, and that tax break that you get to try and balance out the economies of scale so that you can compete with the big guys on price, we're going to get rid of that.
Wow. So yet again, this government has proved they don't care about individual people and little guys.
Yeah, exactly. They only listen to the big businesses that have their ear and have the budget and are, many of them are bribing them. There's lots of news about corruption in the government at the moment. Just look at Generic. So this change was lobbied for. This affects 88% of breweries in the UK, by the way. 88% of the UK's breweries are below 5,000 hectolitres, and it was lobbied for by 40 breweries, so barely 1%, and they have won out.
Wow.
And all of them are big breweries who want tax breaks themselves.
Oh, man.
So they have done a land grab, and they've fucked over the prospects of about 2,000 breweries.
This is shocking, but not unexpected.
No, I mean, so this debate has been bubbling under the surface for a long time. SIBA, the Society of Independent Brewers, who are running the beer judging that I'm doing today, they called for a review because they wanted the tax relief increased above 5,000 to help breweries that get to 5,000 grow without having suddenly very big tax burdens. But this coalition of larger regional brewers has sort of seized on that review and lobbied the government and won.
Shit.
So, I mean, it's devastating. Like, the James Calder, who's the chief executive of SIBA, I was speaking to him on the phone shortly after he'd spoken to the MP about it to complain. And he was, like, you could tell he was shaking. You could hear his teeth chattering. Like, he was, like, super hyped on adrenaline and just broken by this news. It's... I don't know. I was in complete shock when it happened because so many of our friends, brewers that we support, you know, are significantly more likely to go under, and they're already under great threats because of COVID-19. And on top of that, lots of breweries that I love. You know, St Austell. We talk all the time about St Austell as one of our favourite breweries, and all the time they've been campaigning for the death of the other breweries that we love. It's just unconscionable. It's shocking, it's corrupt, it's baseless, and it's timed so poorly that it just beggars belief. It looks punitive. It looks like punishment for not daring to grow like the capitalist overlords think we should.
I think it's more of a case of the haves wanting to keep having or pull back the share that they may have had a couple of years ago, where they're probably losing. Well, they are losing ground to the little guys. So you know,
and they're losing ground to the little guys, and you know, just beer sales are still really stagnant, and most of these brewers are car scale brewers. So I get that they're struggling for margin. I get that they're struggling for volume, and their little segment is in decline. But if you believe in beer, if you trust that beer will always have a place in the world, and if you believe that supporting other businesses in that means you can all work together, then you don't do this kind of move. You don't punch downwards in moments of crisis.
It's a shitty move for sure. It's a very decisive move by everyone involved. I think it shows where their heart might lie, and that's maybe not with small beer and the
small
good guys.
Artisan. Yeah.
So that's upsetting.
Yeah. So if you want to learn more about that, we'll put a pin in it there. But if you want to learn more about it, I've written an article for Good Beer Hunting, an epic, what started as about 500 words and turned into over 2,000. But it will explain everything, and you can make decisions yourself. We're not advocating for this, but there are lots of people boycotting these breweries that were part of the coalition because it's unconscionable and it's outrageous.
Oh man, I was reading about corruption this week, and the guy that wrote Gomorrah, he's an Italian journalist. I think his name's Roberto Saviano or something like that.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, he came out a little while ago, and he reckons that the UK is the most corrupt country in the world. And he rationed that by that we are the financial centre of the world, well, certainly in Europe and most of the world actually, in banking, and that basically all of our government, everything, all of our rules are set up to allow the kind of filtering of money from bad places such as cartels and stuff via. This sounds like I'm going down a conspiracy theory hole. This guy's a legit journalist. Via Jersey, Cayman Islands, all these offshore places that we kind of are our UK outposts. So that was quite shocking. Although not that shocking to me, but anyway, check him out, Roberto. I mean, Saviano.
Yeah, it's shocking when an Italian journalist of the mafia and the parties that Berlusconi used to host and the friends that he had, when they're going, actually, the UK is more corrupt.
That's terrifying.
I believe it. All over the UK, we talk about press freedom as being a great sign of how corrupt a country is. In the UK, it's actually the opposite. We should be talking about government freedom because the press has so much control over the public mood and what politicians can actually do. So we're kind of the opposite. And I'm not saying the press have too much freedom. I'm just saying that the people who own the press are horrific human beings.
Murdoch.
Exactly, yes. And Desmond and all these other guys. Just these British oligarchs who control the media and control the narrative. And, there's so many things that fed into that decision that the government's made around, the temperance movement. There's a very strong temperance movement in the UK for trying to force people to stop drinking alcohol and to ban advertising. That whole Booze Britain narrative that sort of died away a little bit, but still, it always put beer at the front of it. If they were talking about alcoholism, about looters, rioters, about football hooligans, it was always a pint of lager or a pint of cask ale in their hands in the images they used.
Yeah.
And if you look at the data, most people who abuse alcohol, beer is only a small segment of that.
So it was like a cheap shot, a kind of shorthand to saying that beer drinkers are yobs.
Yeah, it's lager lout is the cliche that's just become this image. Fuck the government, am I right? Am I right?
Fuck the man. Yeah, indeed.
I might have to put adult material on this podcast for this one. So we've got one final very exciting bit of news that we can finally unveil, and there'll be lots more details coming over the following days and week. But we have teamed up with We Are Beer, who are the organisers of the London Craft Beer Festival, British Craft Beer Festival, Edinburgh Craft Beer Festival, and Birmingham Craft Beer Festival, known as Beer Central, to host a lockdown craft beer festival the weekend of London Craft Beer Festival. If I have to say Craft Beer Festival one more time, I'm going to scream. So our next live show, we've got our one tonight, which you should all be tuning into straight after this. Our next one is on the 8th of August. It will be from the amazing Little Faith down in Deptford, in Brad's neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be hosting lots of amazing breweries. We're in talks with all kinds of people to come on board. Already confirmed, we've got Brick, we've got 5 Points. We might have On the Polo. We're in talks with On the Polo. They might be helping out. That's very exciting. Collective Arts. We might have the McKellar Brew Pub in London. We might be doing something with them as well. So it's an awesome lineup of breweries who were going to be involved in the London Craft Beer Festival. We're going to be doing content with them, cook-offs down at Little Faith, and of course lots of tastings, lots of guests, and lots of unedited nonsense. So please do watch out for announcements for that, which will be coming in a couple of days. Have I missed anything, Brad?
I'm hoping we're going to get a live phone in from Rick Astley via the McKellar boys. Apart from that, because I want to make him some Rick sausage rolls, some Rick rolls. But I think we've got it covered, mate. I mean, wow, it's kind of a little idea that we had a few months back. Well, quite a few months back now, and it's kind of snowballed. Getting We Are Beer involved and making it with them, I just think it's amazing. It's gonna be super fun. Hopefully, it's going to be a little bit hootenanny, a little bit Jules Holland. Speaking of Jules Holland,
Jules Holland meets Saturday Kitchen.
Exactly. Jules drinks in the Dog and Bell in Deptford, or he used to. So he is a Deptford boy.
Shit, we should drop him or his agent a message going, "Hey, we're doing the beer version of your show. Want to come?
Would you want to host it instead?" I'll just say that. Does he want to host it? And then it'd be amazing. But he probably doesn't know a lot about beer. But
also, then what's our role?
We are very enthusiastic co-hosts that are learning from our master, Jules Holland. Follow me this way.
It's not a bad impression. It's not a good one, but it's not a bad one.
It's not a good one.
On that note, let's leave it there. We are well over our allotted 20-minute schedule. So guys, do tune in tonight for our Wild Beer Co show. There's a link in the show notes for that. Do tune in on the 8th. And also make sure you read the article all about Small Brewers Relief and inform yourself about how to help, and watch our Hard Truths video also in the show notes to learn how you can help in more practical ways. Have an awesome weekend. We will see you next week. We do have a video coming on Wednesday. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's a lot of fun, and we'll see you there.
See ya.
The Bubble Podcast is brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's Craft Beer channel. Head to youtube.com/the Craft Beer Channel to watch this week's video and over 400 more exciting episodes. If you love what we do, please do subscribe and even join our Patreon at patreon.com/craftbeerchannel. Love and beer!